So before we get started, I just want to give you a quick disclaimer. We do curse at times, so if you hide your children and all that kind of stuff if they are around. We are real people and we are real traders, and today we are discussing how to trade when you're not trading, psychology of preparation. And this is going to be a lot more involved with Zach Musso, who is also here with us today.
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
And we also have Charlie Bathgate, who is another partner of ours who right now is unavailable for some reason. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. So just to give you guys a little bit of background, this is kind of nuts that we have our pictures up here. But pretty much it's me, Peter, Anon, which is Lucci, Charlie Bathgate here, and also Zach Musso with the cool fly Instagram pictures because he's Instagram fly. And so,
that's how I roll, guys. That's how I roll.
And just so you know what everybody's roles are, Zach Musso is a trader, also a guy who works with us with the on-the-move trader, which we will get into later today. Anand, or Lucci, or Sang, or whatever you want to call him, he is the main head trader of of our operations. All right, I manage risk with Lucci. We trade together. And, we sometimes I hedge him out, sometimes I trade with him. So it all really depends on how things work out. And thankfully, the pairing has worked great. Charlie Bathgate here is also the senator of New York. So, just joking, guys.
What's up, guys? This is Charlie. Pete likes to give me a hard time that I have political ambitions, which is not true at all. But, yeah, I help out with all of the marketing, the operations, the administration, some of the compliance for the fund that we run, just making sure basically that these guys don't do anything too crazy. So, we do look kind of, we look pretty tough, I think, with our arms folded across our chest. I don't know.
Not tough at all.
Yeah, not really.
So anyway, we're going to go ahead and just jump into it and just let you know, like, what St. Lucci is all about brand-wise is about tape reading and about options, all right? That's where everybody branched off from. Everybody came pretty much from the prop industry, and in the prop industry, you are pushed to find the best trades for yourselves because you can only eat what you kill, all right? And this is, our relationship pretty much with all our traders. The reason why it's so strong is because, we all started from dirt, all right? And I'm assuming the majority of you guys are starting somewhere close to dirt, all right? And, first off, we started with tape reading, ended up moving into options. All right, and then from options, really started to understand trading psychology and then market structure. As you've seen, we've been able to grow relatively quickly, in the past few years, thankfully due to the trading and due to the network, thanks to you guys. And again, this is extremely important for you guys to understand that, even though we do manage a hedge fund and all that kind of stuff, like, we are still real people and we all understand what you guys are doing. And what we're here for is to be a resource for you guys to not make the same mistakes that we did. If we had a mentor back in the day that would help us every single 2 weeks or every week with a webinar on what not to do, we would probably save an entire 2 years off of our careers. But anyhow, we're here now. So again, we don't just excel as traders, we're also mentors, okay? And so Boxton out here, a really cool follower, pretty much had given us some really awesome reviews and pretty much said that, Lucci's like the older cousin that he wished taught him how to do all the stuff from the beginning because, again, it's relatively tough when you're raised in a home that, nobody's really in finance, you can't find mentors, all this kind of stuff. And we had to learn the hard way, and so are you guys. You guys wouldn't be in this webinar if you were at a bank right now. I bet some of you guys are in prop. I bet some of you guys are mostly retail. And some of you guys are probably just starting off and seeing what the heck we're all about. And again, we want to shout out to Boxton. We want to shout out to all of our followers because it's important, again, to recognize that the markets are humbling even to us. Okay? So, just to move on to the subject for the day, it's literally just going over preparation. Okay? Especially in the markets, that we're in right now. If you're not properly prepared in the mornings for all the outcomes, you're going to get whipsawed. We looked like a short this morning. There was a short, and then there was a recovery. What's going to happen tomorrow? Are you going to just jump in the day tomorrow and not knowing what the heck's going on? Again, you have to mentally optimize your time in front of the markets. when you turn on the screen, you should be ready for the 80% of the outcomes that could happen reasonably to the stock that you're playing. And again, this is relatively tough for a lot of the guys that are just starting off because they're not full-time traders. Full-time traders can look at this stuff, every single night, every single morning, be up way early in the morning, and all that. And we're here to help talk about how to overcome the challenges faced by part-time trading. All right. So, Zach, we're just going to pretty much leave it up to you here, and talk a little bit about where professional traders stand, and how you felt really when you first started, and how you got over some of those hurdles of preparing in the morning.
Yeah, so what's going on, guys? How we doing? We're just going to outline a couple of the problems that people face when they first start trading. And these are problems that, as I continue to grow as a trader, I continue to still face. I've developed some ways to counteract some of the ways that the market, continues to smack me around. And, this is what we're kind of trying to impose on you today. So some problems that are very prevalent and evident in the markets are that professionals are trained to take your money, okay? If you're a professional trader, you have had years of experience, and you are most likely under a training wing that has given you access to a variety of different proprietary information, proprietary setups, skills, algorithmic ideas, ways to counteract a variety of different things from the retail side of things. And professionals are trained to take your money. They are out there to seek the dumb money or the retail money, and they're out there to try to gain that edge. And we're trying to look past that and give you guys the edge to get yourself to that professional level. Many traders feel like they don't have the time to develop a cohesive plan of attack, and I ran into this in college. It's very difficult to balance your schedule, and even with like a 9 to 5 or something along the lines of a full-time business or a part-time business that you're running, people that are part-time in this industry that are trying to break into it, to maximize their potential, they feel like they don't have the time to develop that cohesive plan of attack, but that's not true. You just have to find the time and find what works for you, and there are plenty of ways to do that.
And again, guys, professional traders and market makers, again, it's playing against the casino. Every time you lose focus, every time you lose a tick, someone is making it on the other side, and most likely they're a little bit smarter than you and a little bit more prepared, okay? These guys are not necessarily rocket scientists. They're just ready to go on that day, all right? And so, we kind of bring it back to this crazy, two guns shindig here again, out August 2nd. You guys should not see this movie. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. I think this was also a saying, like, by Sun Tzu or something, but, we're just going to quote it via Denzel Washington here.
Denzel's more legit.
Yes, obviously Denzel's more legit. Do you want to be like Denzel Washington, or do you want to be like Joe Schmo that's going to lose your money to Denzel Washington? Okay? Oh, sorry about that, guys. There's some trade still going off here. But anyhow, the whole idea we want to get you into is, again, you are someone who's making an educated guess in the markets, all right? In order to make an educated guess and to rely a little bit on luck and also watching what the markets are doing, you have to have preparation, all right? And just to give you an idea of preparation, Zach's actually got an outline here of how he prepares every week. And again, guys, this comes along with the on-the-move trader product that we have, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Zach's going to talk a little bit about what his process is throughout the week here.
So I have an extensive process on Sunday evenings. Friday around 5 o'clock is my time to relax. Saturday I get to just sort of hone in on just hanging out. You get like a day and a half to do it when you're trading full time, because this is a big dedication to to actually make money. But for the part-time people, for the people that are part-time, so when you're in college or when you're doing the full-time business, when you want to just take advantage of it, you have to actually maximize that preparation time. Preparation is incredibly important when you only have an hour and a half to 2 hours in front of the screen. So on Sunday, this is where I take my 4 or 5 hour preparation. I roll through a ridiculous amount of charts with regard to companies from last week that were doing well, that were doing poorly, and I'll put together something called a TWA, or the week ahead. I'll date it from the Monday of, and we'll go through. I'll have the econ data, which is the first thing that you look at, and then on that Monday through Friday, I'll actually push companies that are popular in name, some that you may not know. But for today, for example, if you go to Wednesday, we take a look at Tesla reported after hours, Groupon reported after hours, AOL before. So these are all companies that you may be familiar with for the most part. AOL, Green Mountain Coffee, Tesla. That shows you what quarter they're reporting, when are they reporting? Are they reporting before market opens, after market closes? What is the street estimate? What's their EPS? What's the revenue estimate? What sector they're in? That's important. Again, this kind of goes along with some stuff that we teach in the course, sector rotation analysis, financials, technology, whatever it may be. What's that leading sector for the week? Maybe it's consumer goods are hot, from Monday to Wednesday. Maybe they start to dip off and technology takes over from Wednesday to Friday. So this is a way to prepare yourself for that. Some statistics that I really like to hone in on: short float, beta, average true range, average volume, and then the price that the company actually closed at on that Friday, just to give me a gauge as to where we're starting off for the most part with regard to that week. So these are all very important statistics that I use, and I use it to prepare myself to get a better grasp on what the company may do going into the week.
And guys, this is not telling you to play ahead of these earnings, okay? We are not condoning that. What we're trying to do is to just have you be aware of what the heck is going on this day. Be aware that there are numbers coming out. If you're buying options, make sure you know something is happening that week. If something's going on with the EPS, if there are earnings coming out, obviously all the premiums are going to be inflated. And maybe you should leave that alone and wait till afterwards, okay? This type of preparation, although it looks a little intimidating, is just for you to be able to get set for the week. All right, a lot of traders, like us, for Lucci and I, we literally just look at the SPY, we look at our sectors, and we just say, how did the week go for the technology companies? How is everything doing? How did the week go for the financials? How did that all go together? And then we'll put together a picture in terms of how the market is overall reacting. All right, and again, this is you can use all these ways of organizing your watch list, of preparing the week, for your specific type of trading. But again, you must do it. All right, doing the homework is essential. If you want to just take a look, we'll talk even a little bit about the current market environment. Look at this extreme chop, move up, move lower, probably move up tomorrow. This incredible nonsense. You'll have the text is completely flat and lower, and then you'll have stuff like Citigroup that's going to rally out of the moon, out of nowhere. And when markets are disjoint like that, you need to be aware of it, and you need to either play it the way it's telling you, or say that, hey, this is not my ideal setup, and this is not what I should be doing. All right, it's very, very important for you guys to prepare for that. And another big example is, for instance, this Google. Okay, this Google post-earnings. I don't know if I can pull it up or not. Let's see if I can get the post-earnings play. So the post-earnings play on this day, literally I was like, whatever happens to earnings, I'm going to watch it that day, and then I'm going to prepare for my next day's move. Either it's going to go up, either it's going to be flat, or it's going to go down. All right. The width of that movement, I don't know, but I'm going to be prepared. That day we were able to smoke it out for $20,000, traded a whole bunch of volume, and is relatively, stress-free. You know why? Because we had a plan. All right. If you don't have a plan, you're going to go in the day saying, I don't want to call out any names, but there are people out there that'll go in the day saying, okay, I'm going to trade the CVS because it's moving or whatever, and then end up not obeying the plan, and then over and over turning a scalp trade into a swing trade or whatever it is. And these are, huge moments in trading where you're like, oh, crap, I should just not be doing this at all. And again, if you had a plan, it would help steer you in the right direction. All right?
So one big, huge quote, that I always like to stick to is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. If you're not looking for the setups that work for you, if you're not preparing in a manner on Sunday evenings that work for you, if you're not preparing in the morning, and if you choose 4 or 5 stocks that you're going to get into, that works for you, that work for you, you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know 100% the levels that it's been working off of, the volume that has been going through it. A lot of different other things that you're going to want to know every single bit about that stock. You're going to want to know about it, so when you go to trade it, you have everything. You have a game plan. You can compare it to sports. You think the Patriots? You think Bill Belichick goes out and says, "All right, guys, we're just going to play today and see what happens"? No, they have a game plan going into every single game, and that's why they're as successful as they are. You think Tom Brady just goes in the field and says, "No, I don't feel like working out from Wednesday to Friday. It's cool. I'll be fine on Sunday. I'll drink a lot of beer on Saturday. Might go to the game hungover, whatever it may be, but it's fine. I'm Tom Brady. I can get away with it." No, he prepares. He keeps his body in shape. He works out. He knows his plays, and he goes from there. That's one big thing. You had me until the Pats reference. That could go for anybody. I should have used the Packers. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers, same thing. But again, it's very comparative to sports. It's all elite performance. It's all elite performance.
And guys, and just to emphasize on this, we had our actually longer term class yesterday, and it was about market psychology. And in general, guys, how you trade is a projection of how you prepare. Okay, and in general, if you keep deviating from your plan, most likely you're going to be adding up the odds against yourself for success. All right. And, a lot of times, we have traders out there that are good at going long. And then we have a lot of traders that are good at going short. And then we have a lot of traders that are good at range trading, all right? And if you don't have the right analysis for the week, or you're not prepared to trade your stock that week, you're not going to be able to let the market pay you out, all right? Again, you want the market to work on your side. If it's not providing you with your opportunities and you've done all the preparation, guess what you should do? You should sit out. All right, you should just relax. Again, the markets will always show setups. You can draw all the technicals on this. Awesome long, awesome short, all this hindsight crap, and it'll look all nice. But again, if you're not prepared for that move, you're not going to get it. The markets will allow you to make money, but you have to have it work for you on your favor. Okay, and the way you do that is preparing. And once you prepare, you sit there like a panther, and you sit and you wait. And you literally let the prey come to you. Look at the short when it comes in. Are you ready for the short when it breaks 170? If you are, what's your risk reward? Once it breaks, how long are you holding it? How big of a measured move are you getting? Those are all questions and things that you should be prepared for when it happens. If this break lower on 170 did not happen, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to wait. You just sit there, all right? Or if you're not prepared for the long, don't go for the long, all right? A lot of people always think that they should be pulling out $100 every single day. No, it's not like that. That's just one dumb way that a lot of these traders, trader mentors out there are preaching to you that you can do. Sure, you can do it, but it's really freaking hard. What you should be doing is you should be waiting, again, for your ideal setup to come along. You should put on the right amount of risk, make some money then, and get the heck out of the markets. Because, again, markets are 80% chop. Markets are 95% chance you are going to be a loser, okay? And that's because a big reason is that you're not prepared for the actual trade itself.
And guys, just to jump in here, this is Charlie speaking. So one of the things I've learned watching these guys trade, over the last 2 years and having a family member full of traders, having a family full of traders is that, I think we just lost our thing there, is that the market's always going to put you at a disadvantage in some way. Either you're not going to have nearly as much money as the other people, you're not going to have as much technology, you're not going to have as much time, and specifically with this webinar, we're talking about time, right? So you have to learn how to put that to your advantage, right? Flip the switch on that, and instead of looking at that as a hindrance, you need to look at that as an advantage. You guys are not going to have as much time in front of the markets as everyone else, right? A lot of you guys who are in there are in here right now. You're working full-time jobs. You are college students, and you can't sit, from market open to market close and watch exactly what's happening. So you have to learn how to make that work to your advantage. You have to say, okay, I have a short trading window. How can I get strategies that are going to optimize this window for me, and how can I manage my own head so that I don't have to sit in front of the market from 9:30 to 4 every day. I mean, guys, one of the reasons I'm sitting here talking is because these guys, at the end of every day, it's like they've been through a boxing match. From 9:30 to 4 every day, they're engaged with the markets, and it's rough. When you have the advantage of not having to be engaged for, for 8 hours with the markets, you can turn that into something very positive. So Pete, flip to the next slide for me. And before we go into me giving you guys too much of a rundown on the options trader course, or the on-the-move options trader course, I'm going to plant a question in Pete and Zach's heads, and I'm going to ask them to give me a response to it after I give you guys a tour through this. And the question is basically, if you could give one single piece of advice to a trader who can only spend an hour, just one single hour in front of the markets every day, what would you give them? What piece of advice would that be? And draw from your personal experience. I know you guys have both been through this, in your careers at certain times. So, what is that one single piece of advice? Think about that for a second while I give these guys the rundown. Pete doesn't even know the question, but he'll get it going. So, guys, the on-the-move options trader course is, the reason that we created this is specifically because of what we've just been talking about, right? The difficulty of preparation. We know that a lot of you can't sit in front of the markets every day, as what I've just talked about. So we've created a course that allows you to not only learn everything that we do, but also prepare yourselves, while at night after work, or maybe early in the morning when your kids are still asleep, something to that degree, in order to get prepared. So what do we give you? It's $150 for a one-time purchase. And what do we give you? We give you 6 40-minute educational videos. This is both Pete and Zach taking you through everything that we do in terms of basic options theory, getting rid of all the Greeks and the academic terminology, and really just articulating it so that you guys can understand how it's actually used on a day-to-day basis. We have quizzes that we've created. This is actually the first time we've ever done this with a course. It's very, very cool. We're getting great feedback on it. Quizzes following each of the video to help you guys retain information. It's pretty obvious that when you have to get tested on something following a course, you retain more of that information. Plus, the people who get the highest marks on the quizzes, they get a nice little extra bonus. We're not going to tell you guys what that is now, but that's a cool thing that we're doing. You also get the 60-plus page digital course guide. Helps you walk through the entire curriculum on your own so that you can see certain visual setups that are not there in the course. We also give you daily updates, and this is, as we get down to the testimonials later on, this is, I think, one of the biggest parts of this course that people have loved. Zach is a beast. I don't know if you guys understand this, but Zach is a beast in terms of how neurotic he is about his preparation, all right? This guy eats, drinks, sleeps, trading. It's insane. And so at the end of every trading day, he goes through and does a video review of the trading session, right? And so he walks you through, what is it, about 20 minutes, Zach?
20, 30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, for about 20 or 30 minutes, you guys get a video of him taking you through each setup that was good for the on-the-move options trader, and showing you how it would have been done. So that, I mean, the feedback that we're getting so far on the course is that it's definitely one of the strongest components because it's ongoing, right? You guys get your foundation and the educational videos, and then every single day going forward, you get like a 30-minute tutorial showing exactly what Zach did and how you could have taken advantage of it. We also give you 1 month free access to the Sang Lucci chat room and private Twitter feed. So if you're on the move, you got access to the Twitter feed. You get to see what we're into and so what we're looking at while you're on the move. If you can actually get in the chat room, that's even better. You can sit alongside us and trade alongside us. And then we do bi-weekly Google Plus Hangout sessions. So this is really a chance for you guys to ask your questions, connect directly with other traders in the course, or connect with Zach, and just get really a one-on-one feedback on whatever you guys need to take your education to the next level. So, all right, now the time has come to see if Pete actually heard the question that I asked.
Zach's going to answer the question first here.
Okay. So I guess I have an anecdote that I can push off of this. So the one, and I just wrote a post on this too. This was the most recent post that I wrote was on this, and it comes down to I started with futures, and this was in August of 2010. I was a wee freshman in college, and as I didn't do too well to start off with, it was a small account. It was about $6,000. I didn't prepare well. I didn't really understand and comprehend what I was trading. I just knew I could trade it, and I took that $6,000 account to $3,000, and I said, this isn't working for me. So I started to look at other products in the futures market, and I found, the crack cocaine of the futures market, which is light sweet crude oil. And I decided that this would be a great tool because it was so volatile, and I could actually capture those volatility moves and those tiny little moves in this market, and took this account from $3,000 to $10,000. And I was amped. I was totally jacked up. I mean, this is awesome. College freshman doing this. Well, over the course of 2011, the following year, I got more money. I got $20,000 to start with in 2011. Well, that $20,000 went down to $10,000 at the end of the year. And I was left sitting wondering to myself, why? What did I do wrong? I took about 2 to 3 months off just to kind of analyze that and really just sit in a ball under my desk and contemplate, where did I go wrong? What was my issue? And what it came down to was the lack of preparation. I had a very lucky streak from October to December of 2010, and it came down to the very detailed, disciplined way that I now prepare for the trading session. And on the days, even now, on the days that I slack on my preparation, that I'm not disciplined, that I'm not following the step-by-step that consistently works for me, if I don't follow that, even the 1T, if I have 10 checks and I only follow 8 of them, those 2 checks will catch up and bite me in the tush. And that's something, if I had to give one piece of advice, it would be to build that preparation system and that disciplined preparation system that works for you, that allows you to be consistent. And this isn't an overnight thing. I mean, this has taken me like 2 years, and I'm still building on it. I still have ways to go. I have years to go. But this is one way that I have really been able to hone in on what works for me in the hour and a half, 2 hours that I have to trade every day. So the question is, what is that one piece of advice that you would give?
Just stay prepared in the morning, guys. All right. Make sure you follow your plan, and make sure you have ideas for if the trade goes in your direction or if it doesn't. All right. One story is recently on a price line trade that me and Lucci went into. It was great going into it. We were making tons of money, and this thing started moving against us. And as a job of a risk manager, I'm there to manage the risk. And so what I did is I went ahead and hedged out the position as much as possible. And unfortunately, Lucci and I were not on the same wavelength at that time. All right, and even though we came out on top for the day trade and ended up losing on the swing trade, the idea is that it really screwed with the chemistry for a second on how we were managing the trade. And even though whether or not it turns out in your favor or not, you should mark that against yourself. Okay, you should psychologically mark that against yourself, even if you win on the trade, because you were not prepared. Okay, you did not have luck meet preparation. You just had some luck. All right, and not having that preparation can screw up your trading for a couple weeks, could screw it up for a day, or it could screw you up on this losing streak for a couple months. And again, being prepared in the morning and obeying your rules going into the day, even if your rules say that I'm going to give myself X amount of wiggle room, at least you've already ingrained that in your head and you're prepared to do it. If you're not psychologically there, you're not there at all.
Guys, that's a really good point that Pete just made, that just because you make a winning trade, that doesn't mean that that's a good thing. And in fact, we've seen traders who've gone on good win streaks for 1 or 2 months, and we could probably say it was the worst thing that ever happened to them, because they were getting lucky. It just happened that the trades they put on worked out, and it taught them bad habits. It taught them that they didn't need to be disciplined in order to pull money from the markets. And as everyone knows, the market will slap you down if you disrespect it. And one of the ways to disrespect it is not to prepare. Richard actually just made a really good point. And by the way, guys, we're about to go into the Q&A session. If you guys have questions, feel free to type them in. We'll make sure that we get to them. We got a lot of people writing comments here, so that's great. So drop some questions. Richard just made the point, under these conditions, learn to keep your money by learning swing trading. Forget day trading, right? That's a great point. And that's one of the things that we help our traders do in the On the Move course, and also on, in our larger courses in the chat room. The most important part about trading is not necessarily the strategy that you're using. It's understanding who you are as a trader, right? So we teach you in the On the Move course, we teach you various different types of strategies. I mean, Zach goes through market profiling, which can be hugely helpful, especially for you guys who don't have time to learn to read the tape. Day trading techniques, swing trading techniques. But the point is that we teach you the tools, and we also facilitate you understanding who you are as a trader, how to take your personality, match it up with the tools that are at your disposal, and really understand, okay, when I sit down every day, these are the types of trades I'm looking for. These are the types of setups. There's always going to be other people, making noise on Twitter or, in whatever rooms you're in, chat rooms, saying, hey, I did this, look, I'm going after this. If you don't know who you are as a trader, you're much more inclined to get sucked into trades that you don't really understand. So that's one of the things that we really do effectively in the On the Moves Options Trader course.
And on that word, we've got a couple guys already asking, how do you actually get signed up for it? So here is the link. I'm going to put this link.
That'll be the preview.
Excuse me.
So just delete preview.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm going to put the link into the question box, guys. If you guys want to see it, it's in there. And again, I'm going to do it one more time. Again, check your question boxes. They are there. But again, guys, make sure that you catch this. Charlie's got a few more words about the On-the-Move Trader here.
Yeah, can you pump the presentation again?
Dave, to answer your question just really quickly before Charlie gets into this, are there daily trade setup emails? It's more of a review of what I did through that session, and it's going to be an entire comprehensive 20-30-minute video at the end of every close, whether it be in the evening. It's going to be a recording no matter what, so you can watch it whenever. Again, you guys are on the move, so it makes sense to have it just as a recording. That reviews everything that I did, what I was thinking, why I was thinking the way that I was. These could be setups that worked out. These could be setups that didn't work out. And these could be setups, like we just discussed, that ended up working out that shouldn't have. So, this is just an all-inclusive, comprehensive video, that reviews the trading for the day.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is, Kumaresa, I hope I'm not butchering your name, Kumaresa. That's a good question. I mean, we don't have an official mentorship program, but you guys saw the testimonial from Boxton earlier, and then these are just some of the reviews we've gotten from on the Move Options Trading course so far. Becky, I think I saw you in here earlier. Big shout out to you for being so involved and being such an awesome student so far. Guys, this stuff really works. I mean, people are really getting great value out of the product. And yeah, I mean, this isn't something that we put even in sort of the product description or anything like that. But in terms of mentorship, this is just the way that we think. We are always available to you guys. When you guys saw the quote from Boxton earlier talking about how he worked with me on his trading psychology and sort of turned things around, and we put a trader interview up on sayinglucci.com that went through that whole story. He wasn't even a paying customer at that point. He was just a guy who emailed us off of Twitter. And, that's just how we react to things. We're not going to turn someone away who's coming to us asking questions. We're very responsive. And so, yeah, to answer your question, Kumaresa, we don't have an official mentorship program. I guess you could call the 12-day course an official. I mean, that's really getting taken on your way.
Honestly, the differentiating point is that the entire course, all the courses include mentorship. All right, we don't charge people right now at per hour rate that a lot of traders would charge for trading and for trading advice. We literally, if you are in our course and you are with us, you are going to literally have full access to us. You are in the chat room with me. People will spam the heck out of me. I still respond. Sometimes if they spam me, if you are relatively new to the game, we're here to help you. Again, guys, make sure you take advantage of the differentiating factor. Look at all the reviews. Ask the people that have been following us. There's a huge differentiating factor on the way that we treat our followers and our traders.
Okay, so we got a couple good questions in here. What's the difference between the 1750 course and this one? The 1750 course, Mark is referring to the 12-day course that we run. That is really the all-access pass, boot camp to everything that Sang Lucci offers. I mean, that is in-depth tape reading. That is in-depth, very advanced option strategies. That's live teaching too. Lucci and I are both on there teaching you on the spot. You can ask us as many questions as you want during the class, and you actually get to have it pretty much an infinite number of times afterwards. And we do discuss, current market environments and all that, and it changes all the time. And so again, the On the Move Traders, tons of recordings, bi-weekly reviews, the full 12-day course. You get access to us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every week for as long as you like. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the big difference is really who it's aimed for. If you're taking our 1750 course, you're looking to seriously take your trading to the next level. You want to probably learn tape reading. You want to learn advanced option strategies. For the on-the-move options trader, it's not to say that you're not taking your trading seriously, but you might not have the time to to really get to the point where you might be a semi-professional trader. So it's just sort of looking at a different audience, Mark. That's how I would describe it.
I like to look at it as well as a way that you can get your feet wet in the on-the-move options trading course. So if you want to say, I think this is for me, I'd like to give it a shot. When you're looking at that, you say, okay, let's go with this. If you find out that you have a real passion for this, that you want to continue your education and you want to get better at it, and you might want to dip into full time, that's when we look, to the 12-day course as the way to sort of graduate to it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, the $150 on-the-move options trader course is sort of a starter course, and then the $1,750 is the whole enchilada.
Tom, we're gearing up to get our next course on the 26th. Spots are filling up. There are actually a bunch of people asking about it these days, and we will be running that ad so you guys can actually see it. But feel free to go to sanglucci.com and check it out, or sanglucci.marketbuy.com and check it out. Again, the next 12-day course starts on the 26th, which is 3 Mondays from now. Okay?
So that's Monday, August 26th. We're going to put a link in the chat for that as well if you guys want to hop in there and sign up. Kumar, yeah, I did my best with the name, man. The email, if you ever want to email us, it's just lucci@sanglucci.com. That's the best way to email us. We're pretty responsive on that. So, guys, now this is your opportunity to ask some questions. They don't have to be about the course. You can ask about stuff you traded today. Ask about the market profiling and how it relates to tape reading. This is your chance to really access these big brains here with Pete and Zach, and get some good information. Are there daily trade setup emails or just weekly? Was that already asked?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Thoughts on the VIX? Oh man, we wrote an article on the VIX, Bob. Yeah, I mean, Pete, you want to go into the VIX real quick and just kind of give them a summary of the article that we wrote? Last week, Pete and I wrote an article on the VIX, and I basically translated what his mathematical interpretations were. It was kind of a meeting of East and West here.
It's cheap, Bob. It's really, really cheap. I would snag some, but again, you need to understand that VIX is a really weird animal. All right, it's they're VXX, UVXY, all these, they get stock splits all the time. And even though it's so low right now, it could go even lower. And this actually poses opportunities for options traders to actually buy options and not get screwed so much by market makers. But anyhow, we will get into that. That's something we do talk about in our courses. I don't want to explain too much into that, Bob. Sylvia's got a question about balance and imbalance on open and close. Again, this is something that we do teach in the on-the-move traders. Zach goes into this in depth. He's been through all the rites of passage for traders. So you're asking about open interest. You're talking about balance imbalances. You're talking about what the big fundies are doing. We talk about all that in the classes. These are actually good questions and topics for future webinars, which we will take notes and we will make sure that we have. But these, again, guys, just basics on it. There's a lot of information on it. And again, guys, this is just pretty much in regards to preparation of trading here.
Sylvia, to answer your previous question with regard to do I still trade futures, I'm still damaged goods from 2011 with regard to that market. I would like to graduate to it later, but I'm getting some, the basics, I guess I should say, under my belt first, and really trying out other markets before I step back into that.
David's asking, are there recommendations to read before the 1750 deal for the advanced class? Yes, there's actually a free ebook that we offer, David. It's called Options Made Simple. If you would like a copy of it, you can email Lucci@sanglucci and we will get you a copy. Anybody who wants copies of the free ebook, feel free to email us, Lucci@sanglucci.com. It's a really good way to just get your feet wet, kind of read how we do things and kind of like, drool over the profits that we can make on it, obviously with substantial risk, but again, it's a good way to just kind of get you introduced there.
Yeah, guys, and David, that will give you a good feeling for, how we take a different approach on options. We fully understand Black-Scholes formula, the typical theoretical pricing models, but we base our pricing methods off of experience, right? I mean, Pete and Chaim Bodek, who's a guy that we work with, some of you guys know about him from our previous webinars, really, really high-level quants here, and they know how to derivate from the old school pricing models into what really works. And Lucci's options made simple. That's basically a that's basically a simplification of that of kind of how we approach it. So Greeks and all that gets pretty deep. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it gets pretty deep. It can also lead you in completely the wrong direction. So we really feel like the approach we've taken has worked, and our returns this year have shown that. I mean, we've done extremely well this year.
David, again, we're about helping hand traders be able to trade, and unfortunately, Greeks are for the academia and for very advanced traders. All right, if you want something on that, we might actually dribble a little bit of that in the next few months here, but we won't get into that. Again, guys, we got a jet here, but again, check out the link. Make sure you look at the On the Move Trader. All right, this is a really good resource. You're going to have full access to us. All right, if you want to look at the other products that we have, sanglucci.marketfy.com. All right, we're here. Education, full bit of education. You get so much here, tons of freaking information. All right, guys.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you guys coming out, taking the time out of your day to come listen to us morons talk about some stuff. So